Welcome to the exciting and new podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
I'm Dana.
And I'm Mike.
Welcome back, Mike. And what the hell did you just do, Andy?
I know. Is it actually recording?
Did you not hit it hard
It
enough?
says on the air.
Oh, yeah, it's going.
On the
It's
air,
counting.
it goes.
19 seconds.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
we
You
go.
didn't hit it hard enough, I guess.
I mean, I don't.
Today, we're here to talk about cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. But that's really not what it stood for.
It's not what it stands for.
And I never knew what it really stood for. I didn't know that.
Let me get that. I have it written down because I couldn't remember it in the top.
It's so funny because at 3 separate times as I was watching this movie today, 3 different people in my house walked through and said, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "C.H.U.D." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "C.H.U.D." And they're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Cannibalistic underwater dwellers." And every time I said underwater, I'm like, "It's not underwater. It's underground." But I kept saying underwater every single time. I don't know why.
That might have been a better
It
movie.
might have been.
Yep. Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. And then it really stood for contamination, hazard, urban disposal.
Yeah.
That's what I figured it out.
I don't know why that mattered though. Why did they have to have a secret name for C.H.U.D. too?
I know. And why was
Because when they said it a different way, I'm like, wait, that's not what C.H.U.D. stands for. And I'm like, I also don't care.
This was
What a stupid anagram.
It was really stupid. Usually it's a word that exists,
See
right?
what the sequel's called?
C.H.U.D. too.
It's called Little Bud the Chud or something like that.
Oh my God.
I honestly think that in my younger days when I saw C.H.U.D., I probably saw the sequel. Because as I was watching this movie today, I was like, I've never seen this movie in my life.
Yeah,
like,
no.
And as the movie kept going on,
Chud 2,
and
Bud
on
the Chud.
and on, and nothing was happening, I'm like, I know this is like one of those movies that has like a reputation of being like a great horror movie.
No, it doesn't.
It's fucking terrible.
We're here to tell you that it doesn't. It's rated R, running time 1 hour, 28 minutes. August 31st, 1984 is its release. Directed by Douglas Cheek. He was top 4 was C.H.U.D., and then he had 3 writing credits. Claustrophobia, American Playhouse, and Great Performances. I don't know what any of that stuff was.
Isn't American Playhouse
I
like one of
didn't
those
care.
like PBS,
PBS, right?
kind of like?
Same with Great
Oh.
Performances.
Is
That's
it?
a
Okay,
PBS thing
yeah.
too.
Yeah, so maybe he did something like that.
You kids today,
How the
you don't know
hell
what
do you
PBS
go
is.
from
But
C.H.U.D. to PBS.
I wonder which way he went. Which one was first? I wonder.
Yeah.
he was Billy's reputation. Oh, you did C.H.U.D.? Oh yeah. If you want to do some Shakespeare on PBS,
Or did he do Shakespeare on PBS and then
They're
say,
like, dude.
"You're perfect for C.H.U.D." A bizarre series of sudden disappearances on the streets of New York City seems to point towards something unsavory living in the sewers. All right, so our taglines are ugly, slobbering, ferocious, carnivorous. They're not staying down there anymore. You won't want to know what it means. And then there's a real long one.
Well, that's true.
A real long one. A recent article in a New York newspaper reported that there were large colonies of people living under the city. The paper was incorrect. What is living under the city is not human. C.H.U.D. is under the city.
good lord, that's too long.
Our cast starring John Hurd, who played George Cooper. He passed in 2017 at the age of 71.
I knew he died. I didn't know it was that long ago. I would have thought it was like last year or something like that.
And you know him from movies, some really big movies.
Home Alone?
Sure.
Yeah.
Home Alone.
Some
That's
really
it.
big
I
movies.
mean, he was in
Big.
Big
He was
also.
in
Yeah,
Big.
he's the
Thank you.
bad. He's
Thank
the
you.
bad guy in
All
Big.
right.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. Yeah.
I don't remember him in that. Though
He's the bad guy.
I just don't
He's like the
remember.
jerk. He's the
Was
one
he in
that.
Altered States too?
Yeah, I believe he was.
It's so funny because
Awakenings is in his top
Awakening.
4. Yeah.
John Hurd and John Hurt, I always
Yeah,
like got
I get
those
them
names
confused.
mixed up. I mean, obviously they have very similar sounding names, but
I think they passed
did
around
they?
at the same time.
But like
too.
whenever someone said John Hurd's in this, I'm like, oh, cool. And I'd see, I'm like, oh,
But wasn't
John
John,
Hurt?
wasn't it
I'm like,
John
okay.
Hurd who was in the
Home Alone movies.
he was in those, but wasn't he in that damn shark movie, Sharknado?
Oh, who the hell knows?
in
Wasn't
that first
everybody in
movie
those
we watched.
movies?
I don't
don't
remember.
know.
No, that was Ian Ziering.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I understand how you can get him confused.
I actually thought you said something. Nah, I really think it was John Hurt died. Let me see. I was just looking up when John Hurt passed.
Because then I had to look up.
Yeah, he died in 2017.
Oh, wow,
also.
they both died the
Yeah,
same
he was
year.
age 77.
Oh.
He was 71,
that
I
is-
think
He
you
was
said. yeah.
71. Yeah.
But I had to look up John Hurt's filmography after I saw this was John Hurd, and I was like, yeah, wait a minute, what did John Hurt do? And I looked up his, and I was like, oh yeah, he has a much better filmography.
Yeah.
But he was also British, so
Yeah, I think he was in a Doctor Who,
probably.
recent Doctor Who one.
That
yeah.
sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
John Hurd. Let me see something. I was looking.
Oh, I get John Hurd and William Hurt
Okay.
mixed up too.
Well, I always got
Yeah,
William
William
Hurt
Hurt,
and
John
Jeff
Hurt.
Bridges mixed up just by face, and Jeff Daniels. Jeff Daniels,
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges, and William Hurt. William Hurt and Jeff Bridges look alike, and
Yeah.
I always got them mixed up when I was watching something. I'm like, is that Jeff Bridges or is that William Hurt? I always got them mixed up, just like Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman.
Yeah.
I never got those right.
John Hurt is in Sharknado.
Okay.
Sharknado 5, global warming. Global swarming.
Yeah.
And then the last Sharknado, It's About Time. So he's in 3 Sharknado movies.
I feel like It's About Time probably means it's a time traveling Sharknado.
I think it was
movie.
just like, it's enough
it's a
of this
time travel,
nonsense.
yeah.
Let's stop him.
Finn has to go
proudly
back
say
in
I've never
time
seen
to
a
rejoin his
Sharknado.
shark battling friend.
Yeah. When anything's called It's About Time, it's definitely time travel.
The only Sharknado I ever watched was for this podcast because Brian wanted to do a
That's what we
Sharknado
did, yeah.
movie.
It's
And
the
I was
only
like,
The first one
And
was when it
wasn't
first came
fun
out was
because
fun.
it didn't have all the cast.
yeah, it was just like a movie. It was just a
Part 2
bad
is
movie.
when all the cast, all the crazy people started coming
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
But I remember, I think speaking about it back when we watched it, Michelle and the kids watched all of them. Like when they released the last one, they're like, Sharknado weekend. And every time I'd walk in, I'm like, oh shit, they got like Gilbert. Oh shit, they got I'm like, they got everybody in those movies. Not that like, getting Gilbert's like getting everybody, but it was
fun
just
to see it, you know.
it's like, why would you get Gilbert?
Playing AJ, the Reverend Shepherd, was Daniel Stern, another Home Alone alum.
Yes.
And so he was running a soup kitchen, but like, was it like an underground?
I don't think
soup
it was a
kitchen?
sanctioned
Like, yeah, it
soup
was
kitchen.
just because they said he was
He was
the
doing
Reverend,
it out of the
but-
goodness of his heart.
and also like in like an
His-
underground bunker too. I was
Yeah.
like,
It was
Everything
like,
was
"Do you
so
wanna eat
gross. No, everyone was dirty.
I know.
It was
I
very
I mean,
disgusting.
homeless people, yes, I understand they
I
get
know.
dirty, but this was extreme.
Like that first woman, the one that like
Yes.
leads to the, she looked like she was just in blackface.
Yeah.
I'm like this.
Yeah.
I am offended for this
Yes.
person that she's in this makeup.
it was ridiculous.
But it just looked like they took charcoal and were just like, here,
Yeah.
you're dirty now. Just like spread it all over your face.
So we got his top 4 of City Slickers, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and 114 of the 115 episodes of
Right,
the
he's
Wonder
the narrator.
Years.
Yeah.
Yes.
oh, I didn't realize.
I wonder
he
why
was
he's not in that
narrator.
one episode.
I don't know.
Like, did they not do a voiceover in that?
There might
Maybe
be,
it was the pilot.
there might have been
or
one that he
something.
didn't have a voiceover in. Yeah.
He was also in Blue Thunder. We did Blue
did
Thunder.
Blue
He was
Thunder.
in that. That was like the first thing he did. Like he was a kid in that.
Wasn't he Jaffo?
Who's that?
Jaffo was the new guy that they brought on.
In Blue Thunder? Is that his character name? Oh, okay. You're saying that
Well,
like I should know.
Jaffo. That was like what they called him.
Maybe,
He was just
maybe.
another fucking
Yeah.
observer.
Oh yes. And he dies in that. Yeah, he falls. Does he fall out of the helicopter or something like that? I don't know. I don't remember Blue Thunder anymore.
It's too hard to remember. We just watched that a few weeks ago. Christopher Curry played Captain Bosch.
The only cop on the force with any integrity, man. Like I was
Yeah.
like, you know, he went out bad. I was like, shit, they killed that guy.
No, but I think he lives at the end.
Oh, did he? He looked
yeah,
like he got
because
shot
he
all the
woke
way
up and he was
through.
like, "Nice shot."
Oh, yeah.
And then the guy was like, "Oh,"
But it just
what?
cuts
Yeah.
to the
But
credits.
the bullet went straight through where
and
his
he had
heart,
his
like
shirt was so pink.
Yes.
through both sides, and it was where his heart is. And but he woke up.
It's a
and was
movie.
fine.
I mean, I'm sure he's in the
Your
sequel.
heart's actually more towards your right side, anyway. They say.
Oh, there you go.
Only if you're looking in the mirror.
He was in Sully. I didn't see that movie.
No.
I didn't.
I
either.
did not either.
Flags of Our Fathers.
Oh, I did
That
see
was a
that.
good movie.
I wonder who's in that. I mean, he's got it. By then, he had to have played like maybe the grandpa.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of who's in that movie. There's not grandpa.
City of Ghosts. And
No, that was in the middle of the
C.H.U.D.
war.
I know, but isn't there like a flashback? Isn't there like a narrative with like? Isn't it bookended by
It's
like
probably
present
a
day?
general or something.
Maybe.
Lauren Daniels. She was played by Kim Greist.
I kept
Is that
thinking
the girlfriend?
Yeah,
Okay.
the one girl with the speaking role.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
I
true.
guess the girl in
Well,
the
Francine had a speak.
Yeah, you're right. There were a couple, but I kept thinking she looked like somebody.
I did
Well,
too.
And I was
do
like-
you remember from any of these movies?
No.
Brazil. She was in
okay.
Brazil.
I like Brazil. It's
She
been a
was
long
in
time.
Manhunter.
Oh, I saw Manhunter.
I don't know that one. I
That
don't
was
think.
That was the Hannibal Lecter,
yeah,
right?
Hannibal Lecter one.
Oh, the before
was
Silence of the Lambs.
yeah.
Yes,
William
with
Peterson.
right. Yes, with Brian Cox is Hannibal
Yeah.
Lecter. Yeah. Okay.
She was in Owen! Throw Mama from the Train.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey.
Wow. That's
Oh,
a
I
cartoon.
love that movie.
But I looked her up, like her face, and I was like just going through 80s actresses, and I think she reminds me of Penelope Ann Miller. I think her name was. She was the girl in
Oh, the redhead.
Kindergarten
Yeah.
Cop and like
Yeah.
a couple
She
other
was in
movies.
Clue.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, she was. Yeah. So I just thought like she looked like her, and maybe that's why I was thinking she looked familiar. But I mean, I've seen some of the movies you mentioned her in. I couldn't have told you that she was in any of those movies before you
Yeah.
just mentioned
Yeah.
it. So
I haven't seen any of those movies in a while, so I know Throw Mama from the Train is coming up soon.
Is it? And I'm trying to think who was she. I mean, the only three people I can think of in that movie were Billy Crystal, Danny DeVito, and Mama. So I don't know what part she played in that. Was one of them like with a girl in that? Probably Billy Crystal, I would imagine, not Danny DeVito.
Where did I leave? Francine the landlady, played by Brenda Curran. She was in Gossip Girl. She was in Wu-Tang and American Saga.
Wow.
The movie about Wu-Tang.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought like in a video
No,
or something like
she was actually.
She's
in
a member
Wu-Tang.
of Wu-Tang Clan.
that. She's right in between
over-
Method Man and Redman on
Yeah.
stage.
Took over for Old Dirty Bastard.
Yeah.
Of course. How did I forget that? Just like the chick that took over for
Lincoln
Chester?
Park.
yes,
Oh,
Chester.
that-
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Oh my God.
Daughter of the Bride and Gossamer Folds. I don't know either. of them.
I know.
Daughter of the
Father
Bride
of
sounds
the
like
Bride.
Steve Martin.
I was gonna say I know
right?
Father of the Bride.
Fuller was played by Michael O'Hare.
Fuller.
I don't even remember that character.
I mean, there were characters that popped up in this. I'm like, oh, I know him from something, and I'm not going to spoil it because Jason's going to tell us. But there were other
Yeah,
people that
there were
were,
other people.
were stuffed. in
Maybe it's
stuff.
this one. Cordis Hurd played Officer Sanderson.
Oh, that's him.
No, that wasn't.
Do
who I
you
was
know that
thinking of.
person as Wally from Caddyshack?
No, Wally from Caddyshack. Wally. I don't know who Wally
So
is.
look at these pictures of their
All right,
face.
then who do you know Cordis Hurd from?
Is this the right guy that I'm thinking of? Was he in Raising Arizona?
I don't know, but it's John Hurd's sister. I'm talking about. Cordis Hurd. I'm talking about.
Oh, it's a woman.
Wait, whose sister?
She played Wally in Caddyshack.
Okay.
Cordis Hurd.
Okay.
Officer Sanderson.
Oh, is that the girl with the
female
desk?
cop. Yeah.
Wait, she was John Hurd's sister
John Hurd's sister.
in real life.
Real life.
I thought you meant in this movie. I'm
No,
like,
real life.
I do not remember them ever establishing that he.
That's why I said
sister.
Cordis Hurd.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I am so off the mark here. I thought you were like his sister. I'm like, really? Did they say that? Keep going. I'm sorry.
And up next, we had Vic Palizos. He played Hayes.
Okay. I know who that was because he looked familiar, but I couldn't tell you.
I
where he
know
was
him
from.
because he was in Superhero Movie. I didn't know him from that. I didn't know him from Eraser. I didn't know him from Eddie Macon's Run, and I didn't know him from Pritzy's Honor. But I do know him from a season 2, episode 10 episode of Seinfeld, The Baby Shower. He's the undercover cop when Jerry's getting a legal cable.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Remember when he gets shot?
Yeah. In the dream sequence. Yeah. He looked like Frank Pastore or something like that. Like I knew it wasn't him, but he
Yeah.
looked like one of those kinds of guys.
Let's see what I got next. I got Eddie Jones. He played Chief O'Brien.
Chief O'Brien.
He was in The Terminal, Seabiscuit, Sneakers, and A League of Their Own.
Jesus, I've seen all those movies and I
love
still don't know who he is.
Yeah, I don't know that name. Eddie Jones just does not sound
And what was his character in this?
Chief O'Brien.
Oh, so he was the head cop that like was.
Wasn't he
trying-
the bad guy?
No, that was Wilson. That was the guy that worked for the EPA, the one that ended up
Shoot.
getting shot in the head by
And he
very
had,
good shot by the Stern.
Officer Crespi, Raising Arizona.
Yes.
That's the. I know him from. He played 17 episodes of King of Queens. He played Doug's.
Oh, I don't know him from that. He was Chandler's boss for a
Chandler's
couple
boss on
episodes.
Friends as well,
Yep.
yeah.
Hey,
But he-
Bing.
He's in one episode of a lot of shows.
Yeah, he's that
Yep.
kind of
Plays
guy.
that kind
But-
of guy. Like I
but he had a
recognize
couple
him.
run on. He had a couple episodes on Friends, 17 episodes on King of Queens, Raising Arizona, Drop Dead Gorgeous,
Oh yes, he's Denise Richards. He's Denise Richards' dad and
And he's
Chris
in,
Daly's husband.
L.A.
that.
Story,
Oh, okay.
and Adam's Family Values.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think I've seen Adam.
Yeah, he was like as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh, okay, I know that
I know
guy.
him too. He has
Yeah.
that young face.
I wouldn't have known his name, but I know his.
I didn't
face
know
for
his name,
sure.
but I was like, that's a dude from
Yeah,
King of
he's
Queens.
got that-
I was like, oh, he's High's
But I
boss
know him
on
old.
Raising Arizona.
Like I don't know him young. I know him always as old. Like
Yeah.
he's just been an older man.
But I mean, he was in Raising Arizona, which is only like next year. It's 85 or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
And then he's Chandler's boss.
I
for
didn't
10
see.
years.
I couldn't find her in the movie. She played the ad woman, Patricia Richardson. That's the mom from Home Improvement.
Mom
There were
from-
a
I don't
lot.
remember her
Improvement.
being in
There
that.
were a lot of cameos.
Oh well, there was
I'll
two.
get to a couple
There was
that-
two specific
I
I
ones.
missed
Yeah, yeah.
her.
and
yeah.
I've got one you probably didn't recognize.
I hope so. But so the ad was there like a TV
That's what I'm
commercial
trying to
or
think if
something like
was
that?
Something like that. But
I
she's
don't
in
know,
that.
man. I don't even know what I don't know who that is.
Yeah, but she's the mom from Home Improvement.
Yeah.
I know who she is.
The
That's
mom
why
from-
I couldn't. Spot
Home
her.
Improvement's
Yeah.
the Tim Allen one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I know who that woman is then for sure. I never watched Home
Yeah,
Improvement,
she was
but I know.
also in Yuli's Gold, The West Wing. and Strong Medicine.
Okay.
Ray Baker played the ad man, so there must have been something with the ad woman and ad man
I think there's a cut scene here that we
because he was McClane in Total Recall.
McLean in Total Recall. Total Recall is
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
yeah, they're going to get your ass to Mars, but I don't know who McLean was in that.
Nah, neither did I. Sergeant Parker was played by Frankie Faison.
Yep.
That's the one you had?
That's one of them.
Yeah. Coming to America, Do the Right Thing. He played Coconut Sid in Do the Right Thing. White Chicks.
He was also in Banshee, which was really
Banshee, I
good.
didn't watch that.
Which
yeah.
character is this in the movie?
The Sergeant Parker.
He was the black cop
Yep.
that was with the taller white cop.
Damn.
The cop who almost got his gun stolen, that tall white guy. He was with him.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I was obviously not paying attention a lot during this movie. I was like, there was a black guy in this movie. I'm like kind of shocked by that. I was like, I don't remember seeing a black
I
guy.
had
It only took place in New York City. Why would there be any black guys?
Yeah,
in
right?
it?
I had two cops going to the diner.
Yeah.
First one was John Goodman. The second one was Jay Thomas.
That was crazy. I was like,
Yeah.
damn. All of a sudden, John Goodman and Jay Thomas walk into a diner. I was like, that sounds like the beginning of a joke.
It's John Goodman's first movie appearance.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Was it really? And he's in Raising Arizona next year,
And he's
too.
in
Survivors.
just did Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh,
Yep. He was.
wait. So
he was a
It was
football
filmed
coach.
this
before
was
that.
filmed before Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh.
Wow. And he
Wait, was
seems,
Revenge of the Nerds this year?
yeah. And
Oh,
he seems
so
so
long, I
much
forgot.
older in that. Like, he looks like he's like 40 in Revenge of the Nerds. And here he looked like he was like 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's also like that.
He was very baby faced in this.
He's like the authority figure on that movie, even though he was a cop in this.
That's all I had for the cast. I stopped after that.
Also, the guy who played the reporter at the end at the diner is Ron Polito. He was the guy who played. He was in 100 different things, a bunch of Coen Brothers movies. He played in The Big Lebowski. You never saw.
No, I don't care for that movie, but
He played the private detective that was
Okay.
looking for
Yeah.
the bald guy with the mustache.
Yeah. I just did not pick up on it.
Brother Seamus.
But it's so funny. A lot of people, it looks like, end up doing Coen Brothers movies after this. Like half these guys, we said, oh yeah, they're in Raising Arizona next, or they're in the next Coen Brothers movie, or whatever it is.
I wonder
But
if this dude had anything to do with it.
that's what I'm thinking. I was like,
Cheek might have had something to do with it.
were
Maybe-
Joel and Ethan like on the set, like filming Blood Simple at
Well,
that point?
they might have been. They were on the set for the Evil Dead movies.
That is true too. Yeah.
So was the guy who did Barry Sonnenfeld.
Oh, okay, right. Yes. He was like the cameraman or something like that, right? Yeah.
The first on-screen victim that we see in the movie,
The girl with the dog.
that's the real-life wife of Daniel Stern, Laurie
Oh.
Matos.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad when they
the
showed
dog?
that dog later on.
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
I know Dana's not going to enjoy it. I mean, who would enjoy that? But
Yeah.
they actually showed the dead dog hanging
I was
there.
really
like,
hoping
oh,
that when
damn.
she went down and the dog went, I was like, oh, maybe they'll just it'll pop up comedically and the dog will come flying back out because they don't want to eat, they don't want the dog. But no.
Why wouldn't they have eaten the dog?
And did they even?
Yeah, and why did they hang it? Why did they know?
I think it just got.
to hang
I think
that
the
way?
leash just got stuck there, and it was.
Oh, is that?
I think I do not know.
Yeah.
But what they do to the? I know they found the woman's body later on. Was it eaten? What was
Yeah.
up
I
with
think
it?
just her head at the end.
Oh.
First of all, distorted beyond belief, but right away, some random cop knew it was his wife. Like
Right.
she didn't look like
That's
anything.
his wife.
Yeah.
Get him out of here. That's his wife.
She was so bloated and her face was all distorted and it didn't
You would
even
not
seem
have
like they
recognized
knew
it
each
that
other.
fast.
And she was
Yeah.
but she'd only been dead for like a day because he said that somebody. He's like, oh, how long's your wife been missing? Since late last night. I'm like, well, it's only early today,
Yeah.
so late last night was not that long ago.
How about this being the 2019? This was the inspiration for Jordan Peele's movie Us. And in the movie Us, you can see a VHS version of C.H.U.D.
Oh,
Can be
really?
seen in the movie.
Us is the one
Huh.
with the doppelgangers underneath the ground, which I'm like, I got to see that movie again because I remember at the time being like, I don't think I like this movie, but I've thought about it since then. And I'm like, I think about it more than I should have for a bad movie. So I
I
probably
liked
actually did
it.
like it.
I only saw it the one time, but I liked it.
And who's the star of that? Was that
Napita
Lupita
Leon.
Nyong'o, who I just was watching Black Panther last night. Man, she is hot. That's all I got to say about that. I'm sorry. I was just
She's
like, man,
very pretty.
I was like watching her. I'm like, watch her do anything. Although I have not watched The Quiet Place with her in it yet.
Oh, I haven't
but
seen it yet
Michelle
either.
did.
You know, that John Hurt and Daniel Stern obviously went on to do Home Alone and Home Alone 2, but they had no scenes they shared in the Home Alone film.
I said that to Logan when I was like, both from Home Alone, they're not in the movie together at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
any scenes in them. Yep.
So
Let's see. What do we got?
did you guys all watch this on Amazon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I pay for Amazon Prime, whatever. Okay. They want to throw a commercial at the beginning of it. Okay, fine. You put a commercial on it. I had the first ad popped up. It said 1 of 7. I was like, 1 of 7? 2 minutes and 48 seconds. I'm like, fuck you, Amazon. That's what I wrote in my notes. I'm like, 2 minutes and 4.
I only remember I had 2 ads.
2
So-
minutes and 48 seconds of ads.
I looked it up first, and it said, and then I hit play by accident, and Tara's like 1 of 6, and I was like, we're not watching this right now anyway. But then when I went back in today, it was like 1 of 4.
Interesting.
So I
But
guess it depends.
1 of 2. That's weird.
And it was only like a minute and a half for me. So I guess it
Mine was
depends.
2 like 30 seconds.
I wonder if
Yeah.
it has anything to do with like
Minutes.
how much you watch Amazon. Like if you watch it more, you get less ads. Like,
I
I
don't
can't
know,
even remember
because
the last
the
time
first
I was on
time it was
Amazon.
more ads, and then I backed out of it, and then the second time it was less.
I was just shocked when I saw that. I was like, that's like a real commercial break. I mean, it was. I got up and got a
But
cup of
I don't
coffee,
mind that
actually.
it's in the beginning and they just get them all out at once. Like that's fine.
I prefer that.
I
I don't
agree.
mind
Also,
that,
I
yeah.
just was shocked at the length of it
Yeah.
because I've done other ones where it's just
Peacock,
like
when I do
a
Peacock
30
like
second
that,
commercial. And that's it.
Peacock will do 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it because like
I do
said,
appreciate
it's free.
the countdown though.
I pay for everything so I don't get commercials on any of it.
all my other stuff like Hulu. And
I
all
pay
that
for
stuff,
Amazon too. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah, but you have to pay the extra.
is there a
Oh,
second
yeah.
option for no commercials?
Yeah, it comes up. It says ad free. Click. it.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Like I don't know what the max level of Netflix is, but I guess I get it because I've never seen a commercial on Netflix. But
So
I'd
when
rather just
Netflix
cancel
did
and
the
fuck
commercials, they did like you're at the base level. They did one under that for cheaper with no commercials. So you were already at
Yeah,
the
no
normal
commercials.
Netflix. They did a lower one.
So they didn't make you
could
pay more.
No.
You could have the option to pay
Yeah.
less.
Eventually, it'll charge you more.
Yeah,
course.
eventually because it goes up every
Well,
year.
Hulu and Disney Plus are going up next month.
Yeah, I saw that.
I get Hulu through my phone, and I cancel Disney Plus out of pure anger and spite. And I said that they're like, "Why are you canceling this?" I'm like, "Here's my list of grievances," and I wrote like 25 things. I was like, "Fuck you for
Deadpool
this."
Wolverine's coming to Disney on October 1st.
That's awesome.
On Disney,
Well, you get the there's I remember Disney had the thing like, are you okay with like adult content or whatever? You had to click a thing that
They have
gave you
parental
R-rated
controls on there.
movies.
I have to do a
and stuff like that.
passcode to get into.
I just meant that I'm surprised it's that fast.
yeah, I am
I
too.
mean, it's not in the theater anymore. I don't think.
Yeah, it is.
Is it still in the theater?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that was months ago.
I know.
I feel like
Yeah.
I
It
saw
It's
it
only
months
in
ago.
July.
Yeah, it's October already. I mean, it's not quite yet October.
Oh,
When this
was it
podcast comes out,
July?
it'll be October.
I thought it was sooner,
by one
more
day.
recent than July. Huh. Okay.
No,
Yeah, I would have thought it was like
the
May
end
or
of
something.
July.
I would have thought like May or something like that.
I have no sense of time.
An urban legend was proven false in 1985, suggested that this was based on a true story that happened in Cincinnati in the 70s.
I didn't know Cincinnati had such a vast like underground
Yeah.
subway system. And by the way, like when those people were like walking, like when shit, man, I was it John Hurd was following the homeless lady,
Yeah. Yeah,
and they
it
were
was.
like the maze of tunnels and crawl over this dirt pile and down this thing and up these stairs. I'm like, these people are making it really difficult to be homeless, man. I'd rather just like be living under a bridge.
I was like the
wonder
one
why they always
guy
look
who
so
was
tired and like hurt.
Yeah. I was in agreement with that one guy who was tailing them when they went down. He's like, "Oh, I guess I lost them."
oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't go down there either.
And one of my biggest grievances with this movie, upon like the whole movie is a big grievance, but like there are too many people in this movie.
Yes.
There are too many storylines. You're following like three different duos in this, and I was just like, it should have been one duo.
Yeah.
It should have been John Hurd, Daniel Stern, and just the two of them, and they're investigating this thing and.
Here's an
they're flipping back to this,
Yeah,
back
yeah,
to this, back to this, back to this, and
Felt like
during
they're not the same
and-
movie.
And during
Yeah.
all those cutbacks, never is there a chud because they don't
Nope.
come into the movie till
33 minutes.
33. I have 34 minutes is the
Tara
first
came
Chud
down at one
appearance.
point and she's like, "How's it going?" I'm like, "I haven't seen Chud yet."
Yeah.
And
I
she's like, "Really?" Yeah.
They attack that
33
woman
minutes.
in the first scene, and then it's
But you don't
nothing
even see it in
forever.
the
Yeah,
first scene.
You just see the hand, really, right?
No, you didn't.
You don't
see the hand.
even see the
don't
hand.
see
Right.
the
you
hand
see her getting
until
dragged in.
They
and-
get the
Then you just
grandfather.
see her shoe. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, the grandfather's the first
Yeah.
one.
You see 10 minutes of a street cleaner sweeping up
That
the
was
street
sweeping for a long
some reason.
time, and it still looked dirty behind it.
I
Did you
know.
notice? Like they showed the street cleaner from like a forward shot, and you could see all this dirt like just behind it, flying in the air. I'm like, that thing's not doing a very good
This
job.
was also the film debut of Jay Thomas. His first
Okay, all right.
Who was Jay Thomas?
He was the cop
was the
with
cop,
John Goodman,
John Goodman.
Oh, okay.
but he was Carla's husband on
Yeah, yeah.
Cheers.
Stand-up
and
comic.
They killed
He
him
was on
off, right?
Serious.
'Cause
He
he
was on
talked crap
wasn't he on
about her?
Howard's channel?
Yeah, he had a radio show for years.
Yeah.
He's dead now, right? He's
Yeah, he
Yeah,
died.
right?
yeah.
Kind of young-ish. I would have
Yeah, he
thought
was in
like
his 60s. Yeah.
I mean, everybody's young now because shit, the older I get, I'm like, oh, he was only like 75 then. That's like tomorrow.
The film had an estimated budget of $1.25 million, and it grossed $4.654 million in the U.S. and Canada.
That's a shame.
Here's some more information about the film's box office performance. Opening weekend, the film opened at number 13 at the box
God.
office, grossing $1.76 million in 310 theaters. The second week, the film dropped to number 14 at the box office, grossing $834,000.
How is this movie like getting a sequel when it opens in 13th? Like,
Yeah.
I feel this movie didn't do enough to
Because
deserve a
they-
sequel.
How are
Because
there
it was
12
made for less than $1.5 million.
You're right.
And
It
made
made money. It
$4.5
made money for sure, but it doesn't sound like the movie that was getting a demand for a sequel.
No.
I don't know. Like all this.
Well, how
Dude.
how much time had passed? Like when was the sequel made?
I don't
In the
know.
90s?
The sequel was made in like 87 or 89.
Okay. Well, I would have said if in the 90s was they were making those kind of sequels for no reason.
It might have been direct to video. Who even
Oh,
knows?
of course it
C.H.U.D.
was.
to the Bud the C.H.U.D. was 1989.
Oh God.
It was that late. It was
Yeah.
5 years later. Like,
I bet it had nobody involved
I'm
from the
sure-
first one.
well, definitely on screen. I'm sure it had
Yeah.
less of a cast.
It's a 4.1 on IMDb. Brian Robbins is in it.
From head of the class.
Yeah. Robert Vaughn's in it.
Robert Vaughn, really?
Who's it sounds familiar. Who is that?
He's
This
the
Man from
older
Uncle.
actor that was
Oh,
in a lot of
okay.
stuff. Was he in?
Larry Linville's in it.
Frank
Really?
Burns
Holy
from
shit.
MASH.
Norman Fell.
Mr. Roper.
June Lockhart.
Okay, this
Wow.
might be the better movie.
I
We
think
should watch that.
Maybe we should watch it. I like this cast a little better, I think.
One of the
June
things that
Lockhart?
I thought was just so stupid, made no sense, is when the girlfriend's taking a shower and it clogs and she unclogs it and then blood
blood?
just starts streaming. That made no sense. How could that have happened? They didn't kill that many people. Like
They didn't
what was the point of
explain
that?
why
And
the
then
blood came out.
the next scene, she was
She was
squeaky
just
clean.
like dusting.
And what was
Yeah.
it?
She was like
Like
walking around dusting. I'm like, she wasn't bothered by all the blood. That
Was it a hairball and it just like it was holding blood back?
I
Is that
don't
what happened?
know.
Okay, that was your biggest problem with this
No,
movie?
not
No,
the biggest.
I didn't
Just
know. That was one of the things that
a problem.
made no sense. It was almost like they wanted to like, oh, we don't have enough gore in this movie. Nothing's really been gross yet. Why don't we just have a bunch of blood shoot out of the shower? That made no sense. Where did that blood come from? Like, it wasn't like they were killing thousands of people in the basement and it was getting in the water system. Like that was
Again,
stupid.
if it was a water under there, it would have been a lot better movie. I think if we had some water.
underwater.
yeah,
developers.
underwater.
At
instead
At
of
one point, there were
underground.
two different duos in the sewer. You had the
Yes.
John Hurd and the one lady, and then the cop with Daniel Stern. And never did they meet, and never did they see a chud either. I was just like, why are they spending so much time in the sewer and not chudding it up? I don't get
Yeah.
what's happening here.
Well, then the only time they ran
Because
into
they
the
only had
group
one
of,
costume.
Yeah. Well, no, because there was a scene where 4 Chud were like hanging out.
Four?
There was
You
4
sure
of
they
them.
didn't just like maybe like
No.
superimpose?
So they were like,
Was that when Daniel Stern over?
yeah,
when he was like,
Daniel
But they
Stern
all had their
was.
back to the camera.
They all had their back to the camera. They were like, it was almost like they could have just been sitting around a campfire.
Yeah.
That they were just chilling there, and then he
Chilling
knocked
Chud.
over some rocks, and one of them looked up.
Yeah.
And then that was
some
it.
chuds
That was
chilling.
all
It
you
was the only one
Yeah.
that had the camera ready mask.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes was when he came over and he was just like, "Who's got the keys for the truck over there?"
Yeah.
now,
The guy was like, "I do."
now,
And it wasn't a cop or anything. It was
No,
just some
he looked like a
random
reporter. He
dude.
was wearing a suit.
can someone explain to me? There was a guy in this who
Probably
was
not.
he was tailing Daniel Stern.
Yes.
he had the glasses, and at one point Daniel Stern puts the quarter in the payphone.
Yeah, and he ate it.
and he puts it down.
Yeah.
He grabs a quarter out and puts it in his mouth. I'm just like,
what you saw him go,
why is he doing that? And
No,
who is he? And
when
what's
he
he
left
doing?
that building with all the suits, the men in the suits,
Yeah.
one of them called him was like, he's wearing. Blah,
Oh,
blah,
so he was
and
like-
then
he was part of the-
I assumed.
Okay, all right.
By that,
Yeah,
but like,
I
why
missed
did
that.
he
But it was
eat
just
the
like
dime?
weird because it was just like
There was
came
no
right
reason to eat that dime.
Was that because so he couldn't make another call?
But like,
Is that his
so
only-
what? Like,
that's his only
just get
change?
it.
That's the other chud. It's the change eating
Yes.
underground dwellers.
Yeah, that when he ate the quarter, I'm like, what's going on here? I had a lot of what's going
But
on here.
then
in
they
this
also
movie.
just stared at each other for
Yeah.
a little bit too
Like
long. They
if
were
I was
almost
making a call and the guy
honest.
did that, I'd be like, "Yo, dude, like, what are
Yeah.
you doing?" And he just looked at him like,
all right, I'll just go use that phone over there.
He's like, are you hungry, man? Do you want like $1 and buy yourself a hot dog? You're eating my change.
You're in my space.
Yeah,
I am out of notes.
lost on that whole thing.
Yeah, the ending though, like there was no resolution at all. If the whole gas situation, filling the sewers with gas, killed anything,
that guy was so
they
annoying,
made it
too, when
seem
he's,
like the
"Let the
ending
gas
of the
get
movie
out."
was saving those two from getting out of the sewer before the gas came. That was the end of the movie.
It's too dangerous. They can't come out.
Yeah,
Well,
that
they
took
had
2
that one
seconds to get 'em out.
explosion.
Yeah.
They had filled the entire sewer system with gas, and they had one explosion on one manhole.
That had to be like half their budget. that
When the
explosion.
truck exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention that manhole cover had holes in it.
Yeah.
So how was that
Like,
keeping the gas
that's
from
like
going
when
into
they
the
were
city?
talking about doing the whole gas thing, I'm like, the sewer is not a sealed thing. Like
No.
there's
Yeah.
vents all over the city that like are purposely there. So guess what? You don't die of carbon monoxide
They
poisoning
put that
underneath the
manhole
ground.
cover opener. You saw them. They put it in
Yeah.
the hole.
In the hole.
And they put it
the
in
one
the-
of 4 holes that was in
But
that manhole
it's the
cover.
same thing. You have rain gutters.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like their plan to like gas the CHUDs was nonsensical.
Yeah.
Plus, the chuds were already coming out.
They
Yeah,
were
there
already
were
out.
CHUDs
Well,
out.
they didn't know that.
So
yeah.
now
That
there
was
were
through the
CHUDs
buildings.
out. They were in her building.
Yeah.
Plus, there were some, and there could have been dozens for all we know.
Yeah, we were just following that CHUD
That
because he was
CHUD.
going after the one girl that
Yeah.
we knew.
Because the CHUD died in the beginning because they had its body, and they determined somehow on an autopsy of a being that they'd never seen before that it died from
That was the
carbon
dumbest thing too, because you
monoxide.
didn't even see his body. You saw the reflection in his
Yeah.
glasses of the CHUD's body. I'm like,
But
oh,
now-
we're saving that reveal for
But
later.
then was Victor turning into a CHUD? Were the CHUDs people?
They were
Because
people.
Victor
They were
turned
people.
into
Yeah.
was turning into a CHUD, right?
Right.
They're
Okay.
humanoids.
Oh, he did turn into one,
He
right?
did turn into one. He tried to
right?
kill
He tried to,
his
yeah, and he
friends.
shot him. And I thought that the girl, the girlfriend, got bit by one. I'm like,
She
does that
did.
infect
The
you?
decapitated head bit her.
Oh my god, that decapitated head was ridiculous.
It
like,
bit her
That
ankle.
was
What happened with the
insane.
whole neck stretching and everything?
Yes.
because
That
the-
was
the
weird, man. I thought it was like,
developer-
was it forming a new body or something? I thought when they.
I was like, is he just stretching his neck longer so she has a better shot at cutting his head off? Because at first it wasn't a good shot, but then you get a real
That's
clean blow.
absolutely what it was.
Yeah, but she got bit by that, and I thought that would have been important. Like, did they transfer
exactly.
their chudness to you by
because they
biting
had
you?
just shown Victor turning into a CHUD. So then I was like, okay,
But maybe he turns into a chud because he's just been living under the in
Right.
the
He
was
radiation.
infected
or
by
by
the
something like that.
radiation.
yeah.
But I don't know how they pass along their
That poor dog,
chudness.
though.
Yeah, that was not cool.
It was a
showing
cute
the
little dog
hanging there.
too. You're supposed to let the dog live.
Should have.
I'm almost out of notes. The only thing I'll say is
I am out.
The guy Wilson, who was like the main bad guy, the one that worked for the
Yeah.
EPA,
Yeah.
when he has the gun at the cop that he ends up shooting, he's like, "You're not going to shoot a cop," and he's like, "I'll do it," and then he punches him.
Yes.
Like
The
it was,
weakest
it was
punch.
the
Oh my God.
worst fake punch. That
Worst
dude
punch.
went down like a sack of potatoes. I'm like, he went down from that. He should have just been like a piece of paper. Someone just
Yeah.
hit me with a piece
I
of
was just
paper.
like, wow.
And he went down unconscious also, but he got better quick because then he was able to recover
Yeah.
and get up and shoot him. But then when he gets behind the wheel of the truck and he's going to run over everybody, he gained a full head of hair before the truck spilled over on its side and blew up. I was like, oh my God, he's got hair all of a sudden. So I
Also,
don't,
that truck shouldn't have blown up.
it should not. Of
Just
course,
because it landed in basically a pothole.
It
If you think
reminded
about
me
it.
of the explosions on Chips when you watch Chips because they'll have a car accident like on a regular road
Yeah.
and the cars are doing like 20 miles an hour and you see this car it'll fly off of like a ramp over another car, hit another car and just explode. And I was just like, there's no way that would have happened.
What's best
So
is
much
the
fun.
cars that go off the side of the cliff and then halfway down as they're
explode
falling,
in air.
explode.
I was thinking it actually reminded me of like an Austin Powers movie where the two fenders touch, like
Yeah.
you hear like tink, tink, and then boom, because that's what it looked like. I was like, there was no reason for that thing to explode like that, but
We should get the scores.
yeah,
All right.
because we all have something to do tonight, something better than this.
So I kind of felt like this could have been the idea of this would have been really good as an episode of the X-Files or Buffy. Even Buffy the Vampire Slayer had episodes
There
like
was
this.
that.
Just like that's what this was. It should have been an episode of a TV show,
Did we say
not a
Splatter
movie.
University would have been a better 1 hour episode
I
of a
think we
TV
did say
show or
that,
something
yeah.
Splatter
like
University should have
that?
never
There's
been
nothing
made.
good about that movie.
That's because there was no nudity. It needed nudity.
Yeah,
This
like
did too. This girl was taking a shower. They didn't show anything.
I know.
oh my god. But I'm the same way. I was on my phone a lot. I kept. I had to Google. Did I miss something with the ending? Did they destroy the?
You're lucky you found an
Chuds?
answer online.
And everything was like, no, they did not. You watched the whole movie. The ending was the worst part, So other people had that same
The
thing.
whole
like-
movie was the worst part.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard to beat a worst part.
but
of
like
this
at
movie.
least if they had showed us some not definitive, obviously because they want a sequel, but they never resolved them trying to
the
kill
first
the C.H.U.D.
34 minutes without a C.H.U.D could have been
Yeah.
the worst part. We just passed the 34-minute for this podcast, and so we've lasted longer than
Yeah.
the C.H.U.D s
I'm
did in that
surprised,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so I don't know. It wasn't horrible. It was horrible, but it wasn't like horrible. So I gave it a 50.
You know, I went back and looked at my Splatter University score because I
What
was
did you
like,
give it?
I gave it a 50.
I gave it a
because
2.
I was going to give this movie a 50.
Maybe a 0.
And I was like, it's not as bad as Splatter University, but I
it's
cannot
not.
condone this movie. Like, I was just like, like growing up, I remember everybody's like, C.H.U.D? C.H.U.D? I felt like it had that kind of like cult status where,
Yeah.
oh my God, if you're not cool until you see C.H.U.D. And I know I was at a party where we watched C.H.U.D one night. I think it might have been the sequel because I feel like I walked away from C.H.U.D being like,
If Norman Fell was in it,
that was
it was
kind of cool.
the
Yeah, I mean, I just don't remember. But you said 89. I was already like at a high school by then, so that doesn't make any sense. So maybe I never saw C.H.U.D before.
Or it could have been one of
hated
those
this.
late night movies you saw when you came home late
Could
from
have been.
City Garden.
I hated this movie. I was bored, which is the worst thing you could do in a horror movie, just be boring. And this movie was boring. And even though I gave Splatter University a 50, I'm giving this one a 40. Like, I hated this movie.
Yeah.
I hated every minute of it.
Well, I was going to give it a 50 earlier after I watched this movie, and I said, you know what, 50 seems too nice for this movie, so I gave it a 49. But this movie is garbage for a cast. This cast deserved better. I
Yeah.
thought with Daniel Stern and John Hurt, just those two guys there alone should have given you a better movie. We spent about 20 minutes on the cast and 16 minutes on talking about the movie, so that shows you right there. But yeah, I gave it a 49.
Yeah, about that. I have 45, sure.
Yeah.
There's just nothing good to say about it.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing about this movie is that I had always heard about C.H.U.D being like, oh my God, it's such a great horror movie. And I thought I had seen it before. And having watched it today, I've never seen this before.
I wish we
And
watched that again.
I would have watched Friday the 13th
Yeah.
final chapter again. I should have watched Friday the 13th part 5 today because
Well, we got that for next year.
that's my least favorite Friday the 13th movie, but I know I like it better than C.H.U.D. We have some poker to play.
Yeah, and we got some upcoming up next will be Firestarter on the podcast.
Yes.
So check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, check us out over there on Spreaker. Download, rate, subscribe, review, do all those fun things. Mike, thanks for coming on. This
Thanks
has
for
been the
having me.
exciting and new podcast. I'm Jason.
AEgonzo1 on Twitter, AEgonzo1970 on Instagram. I'm Andy.
Dana Caps on TikTok, Dana Caps 77 on Instagram. I'm Dana.
And I'm Mike.
We'll
He's
find
somewhere
him.
out there.
We'll find him. We always do. I found VHS under Graveyard the other day when I was posting.
Shout out Zach.
That one.
Another sticker.